I think it's important to say from the outset that these missile tests were scheduled long ago, but it is a very delicate time. Tensions have escalated, of course, between Iran, Washington, and the European powers because of the controversial nuclear program in Iran and last week's revelation of a second uranium enrichment plant. There is the perception that Iran test fired these missiles Sunday night in response to the accusations that are coming from Washington to the European powers. That's simply not true. These are military exercises that has been planned long ago. It just so happens that it's the 29-year anniversary of the Iran-Iraq War, and every year during this time, the Iranian government, the Revolutionary Guard, does military exercises and they test fire missiles. They did it beginning on Sunday. They fired off 2 short-range missiles. Now, according to Press TV, the state-funded TV in Iran, Sunday night, they launched the long-range Shahab missile. This is not a new missile. The international community well aware that Iran possesses this missile. But again, the backdrop here is important, leading to the Geneva talks, Iran going into the talks next week. Again, there is the perception that they've responded with this military strike. And make no mistake, Iran has a penchant. They like to publicize these test firings. They like to flex their military might, but it's important to keep things in perspective. These are military exercises that had been scheduled long before now.
Reza, these exercises really are a reminder of what we saw about July of 2008 when they were also test firing some of these missiles. What do we know of the technology, and has the technology advanced any since then?
It definitely has. This is the Shahab 3 missile. Iran says it has a range of about 2,000 kilometers, but experts say it's more like 1,300 kilometers. It is a liquid form, liquid gas missile. What Iran did last May, which was more significant than this particular test firing, was that they test fired the Sijil missile, and that's a liquid fuel missile, and experts say that's much more efficient, much more easily transported. So certainly over the past few years, they have shown some advancement when it comes to ballistic technology. Many of Iran's opponents, the hawks in Washington, believe that perhaps they're using these missiles eventually to carry nuclear warheads. Of course, Iran has repeatedly denied this, Don.
Now, Reza, you say that these tests have been long planned, but there is no doubt, given the context of the situation regarding Iran at the moment, that these tests will really colour the Geneva talks later this week.
No question about it. And all eyes are going to be on Geneva because of what happened last week during the UN General Assembly debates. The revelation coming out that Iran has a second uranium enrichment facility, then followed the accusations by Washington, by European powers, the accusations that indeed Iran is building a secret nuclear facility. And you can already see the positions the two sides are taking. Washington, European powers are saying this is evidence that perhaps Iran is going after nuclear arms. And you had the representative of Iran to the IAEA, Ali Asghar Soltanieh, come out and say, look, we revealed this to the international community. We revealed it based on the laws of the IAEA. And Mr. Soltanieh said instead of thanking us, the European powers and Washington are criticizing us. So it's an indication of how far apart these two sides are. So it's going to be very interesting going into these talks in Geneva coming up in a few days. And it's all going to come down to uranium enrichment. Washington's demand in the past has been that uranium enrichment must stop in Iran. Iran has given no indication that it plans to stop uranium enrichment. So it's going to be very interesting talks in Geneva coming up in a couple of days.
Iran are defiant, and Reza, as you say, the two sides are so far apart. How do you actually see these talks going?
Well, somebody has to back down, Don. I mean, it's the Bush administration for 8 years. Their demand was, look, Iran has to stop enriching uranium. Iran's response has been, it's our legal right. We're abiding by the IAEA and the international guidelines, and we don't plan to stop enriching uranium. And they insist that their program is for peaceful purposes. They say they want to create electricity to free up more oil to export in an effort to boost the economy. Of course, Washington and the European powers simply don't believe this. And with this new revelation that Iran has a second uranium enrichment plant that they hadn't revealed, they have a little bit more leverage going into these talks. These talks were for a long time at a stalemate, and really the momentum was with Iran. Their argument was very simple. Their response to Washington and the European powers was simple. They continue to say, look, you accuse Iran of going after nuclear arms, but you're allied with Israel, Pakistan, India, 3 nuclear powers that are not signatories to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and Iran is. So, but with this revelation last week that there is this second uranium enrichment facility, you could really see the momentum shifting to the side of Washington and the European powers, and you saw that with the really heavy accusations and criticisms coming on the part of the Obama administration's France and UK specifically as well.
Let's get a bit more on that new nuclear facility. The American Defense Secretary Robert Gates has been speaking about that. Here's what he had to say a bit earlier on.
The Iranians are in a very bad spot now because of this deception in terms of all of the great powers. And there obviously is the opportunity for severe additional sanctions.
Reza, what do you make of Robert Gates' views there?
Well, he shares the views of President Obama. I mean, he called it plain deception. Of course, Iran has responded by saying, look, we're not deceiving anybody. We came out and voluntarily told you about this, but it's Washington's position that they only came out and revealed this facility because they knew that Washington had discovered it. What's interesting at this facility is that it's dug into a mountainside right near the holy city of Qom. Qom, probably one of the holiest cities in Shia Islam. And it's interesting, the U.S. is pointing to the location of this facility inside a mountain, is saying that's evidence that they wanted to keep this facility a secret. But Iran has already established its position. They're saying they built it inside the mountain because of all the threats of a military strike, and they simply wanted to protect it. So again, another indication of what these two sides, what their position is going to be when they sit down face to face and talk about this facility and Iran's nuclear program.